good morning, everyone. Welcome to another live, and welcome especially this morning on Boxing Day. And I want to say hello. Okay, guys, as you get your notices here we go. We got a few people coming on this morning. Kevin, Merry Christmas, and good to have you on. Mike, Norland, Francis, Marie, good morning. Brahim, bright and early from Portland, Oregon. Rosa from Montreal. Olive, Oregon. You got your coffee? Me too. Mary. Bruno, how are you? Micheline, happy Boxing Day. Donna, Diane, Thunder Bay, Deb from Timmins, and Wendy, good morning. Laurie, Niagara Falls. Sue, good morning. And Brenda, Campbell River, British Columbia, good morning. Jeanette, from our staff, good morning. Jane, and Samantha, how are you? Karen, Newfoundland, and another Donna, Lorraine, good morning. BC, and Georgie, Halifax. See, we go from one end of Canada to the other and all through the United States and around the world. Nellie, good morning. And Micheline and Sandra, Luella, Knoxville, Tennessee. Diane, good morning. Hamilton. And Texas, Jan. And Bethel. Betty Lynn from Brantford. Wanda from Virginia. Vera, Newfoundland. Debbie, Miramichi, New Brunswick. Sandy, Dave, Carol, Kapuskasey. Lydia, good morning. Diane. Kitty from Kelowna. Good morning, Kelowna. Deb, good morning. Detroit. Carol Ann, Newfoundland. Nick from our staff. Catherine from Newfoundland. Shirley from Newfoundland. We appreciate you guys. Leslie, Kathy, and Lori, good morning. Annette, Nouveau Brunswick, and Star, good morning. Richmond Hill. Diane from Ottawa, and Dale. So you guys, Julie, we appreciate you coming on here this morning on Boxing Day. Deanna and Chantal from Espanola. Heather, New Brunswick. Keith, good morning. How are you? Samache, Pennsylvania. Tammy, North Bay. Ann. You like my sweatshirt? Okay. Yeah, my hoodie. Diane, good morning. You guys are such good friends. Julie, good morning. And Evelyn, South Florida, and it's cold apparently in Florida, right? Eric and Karen, good morning. Okay, well, let's get going. And I know I'll come on afterwards and say hi. Okay, let's, a couple of studies that came out. Very interesting, very interesting. 2 new studies on probiotics, okay? So you guys know how much I love probiotics. Some of the best research being done in medicine right now is on the microbiome, your bacteria. And mostly in the gut, but you got bacteria everywhere from your brain to your toes. And here's the way I always describe it. You got good guys, bad guys, and the ugly. Good, bad, and ugly. Okay? So it's an invisible thing. You can't see them with the naked eye. But bacteria really, they run your life. And it's invisible. But nonetheless, it's there. And we've been studying this for a long time, but now medicine is starting to catch up and really start to look at the microbiome. Okay? And here's interesting, 2 new studies on the microbiome and specific bacteria. Okay? Specific bacteria. Let me give you the first one. Lactobacillus. Of course, they're all given Latin names. That's to confuse you. You know, I took Latin in high school. Okay? I think they don't even teach it anymore as far as I know. I don't know. All I know is I hated Latin. I hated it. And I still remember some of it, but I didn't like it. And I was told that I needed it to get, you know, when you go to medical school or whatever, you're going to need Latin. Well, I don't know if you need it, but everything was in Latin. So guess what they call these bacteria, okay? Lactobacillus, okay? Rhamnosus. Okay? Lactobacillus rhamnosus. Now, I know what that is. And it's a very important probiotic. And what they're saying is, and listen to this, it's found to be a very protective against ALS. You know, Lou Gehrig's disease. Which, by the way, is really, really much more prevalent today in our society is Lou Gehrig's, ALS. Now, follow this with me here for a moment, okay? Why are we seeing so much more neurological diseases compared to what we used to, okay? It's not that ALS hasn't been around for a long time. It has been. But in medicine, they'll all agree with this. These things are trending upwards. Neurological diseases like ALS, MS, and Parkinson's. And they're going upwards. We're not winning the war against these things. We're actually losing the war. And of course, we don't do anything about it until someone gets these conditions, okay? But I have a little theory. And I think I'm right, and I've been saying this for a long time. Leaky gut. Is it the root? Is that the root of neurological diseases? Leaky gut, leaky brain, leaky nervous system. Okay? So again, I'm looking at causes. Now, what can cause leaky gut? You have to go let's come back another step. If leaky gut, my theory, is at the root cause of neurological diseases, well, what causes leaky gut? Now, remember, it's always good to review, okay? What is leaky gut? Leaky gut, you have a barrier, okay? You have a barrier between your gut and your blood, okay? It's very tight-knit, okay? So I'm showing the illustration of me putting my fingers together and tight-knit. And the reason you want that to be very tight is because you don't want any garbage coming into your bloodstream. You have a barrier there. Think of it as the border. And I often use this illustration And look, guys, it has nothing to do with discrimination. It has everything to do with reality. Okay, so if Canadians want to get into the United States, it's not easy. You have to go through the border at different places in Canada. And it's not easy to get in. You better have your passport, right? And they're very protective of the northern border, okay, between Canada and the United States. And Canada has a border too between, you cross the bridge or whatever, and you got to come into Canada, and they're pretty strict. Who are you? Let me see your passport, blah, blah, blah. So I find this to be a helpful illustration, okay? The Canadian border and the American border is very well guarded. Got it? Okay. Now, let's go to the southern border of the United States between Mexico and the United States. Now, it's on the news every day that border isn't so strict. Okay? People from traveling, not Mexicans necessarily, but, people from the southern hemisphere are coming in through the border of the southern border of the United States. And the reason is, well, first of all, it's a very large border, but they don't protect that border like they do the northern border. Okay? I'm not getting into politics. I'm just telling you the way it is as an illustration. So what leaky gut is the southern border of the United States. Okay? They can get in without supervision, without, a passport. Hey, I don't blame them. They want to get into the United States. Okay? I'm not being political at all. It's illustration. Now, what I'm saying is this, okay? We're going back to neurological diseases. Here's my theory, and I think I'm right. What happens when you don't have a tight-knit border between your gut and your blood? Remember, your gut, once your food goes down, right from the mouth, it starts getting broken down, all the enzymes, and then you get into your stomach. You have you're supposed to have a very acidic stomach, and that just mulches your food, breaks it down so that what is left are nutrients and waste. Okay? So in the small intestine, your food is now completely micro-sized. And it's small enough to get through, the nutrients are small enough to get through that barrier between your gut and your blood. And they're so micro-sized, they get into the blood. And what is the blood? Well, the blood is the river of life. The blood brings from your brain to your toes oxygen, can't live without it, right? Your red blood cells, and nutrients, your macros, your micros, your vitamins, your minerals. That's how you get your nutrients from your blood. So that's all that belongs in blood. Water, okay, H2O, oxygen, nutrients. Okay? That's all. Leaky gut is when garbage that was meant to go into the toilet sneaks its way into your bloodstream. And the only way it can happen is if you have a porous border. Got it? Okay, now let's take that another step backwards. Okay? So I think we understand the illustration. It's microscopic. Now, here's what else we know. What causes leaky gut? What causes the border to be porous? What causes that? Guys, the number one cause of leaky gut is antibiotics. Wonderful. They save your life. Don't get mad at me. Okay? Dr. Martin doesn't like antibiotics. If you say that about me, that's not true at all. Okay? If you need an antibiotic, they can save your life. I'm 100% for antibiotics. The problem with antibiotics is this, though. Well established. They wipe out your friendly bacteria. They wipe out the border guards. It's the number one cause of leaky gut. Leaky gut, leaky brain. And I'm telling you, my friend, I'm telling you, when you don't have enough friendly bacteria to make up the border guards, to make up that that little layer, a little layer of mucus. It's so microscopic, guys. It's amazing what happens there at that border until there isn't a border, till there isn't enough good guys. And like I said, I've been saying this, guys, for 40 years. I love antibiotics, but they're a double-edged sword. They're a double-edged sword. They wipe out the border between your gut and your blood. And now you have things coming in to your bloodstream that don't belong there. They belong in the toilet. Toxins, bacteria, undigested food. Why do you think we see so much autoimmune, guys, today? Why is there so much autoimmune? It's what happens in the gut. It's so important. And this study is saying they found a protective probiotic called Lactobacillus rhamnosus that really helps to prevent neurological diseases like ALS. And this is why I'm so big, why I'm so for probiotics. But guys, you can't say about me, at least you shouldn't, well, where does this come from? No, because I've been saying it for a long time. Long time. Remember, I had a radio show for 20 years. I used to tell people, if you do nothing else, you need probiotics. And there's a couple of them, all the strains. That's why I'm big on broad spectrum probiotics. They have multiple strains. I'm a big guy on rhamnosus and reuteri. I like those two in a formula because they do very specialized things. One of the things that reuteri and rhamnosus are very, what will I use? They're very effective in getting rid of fungus or candida. Now, let me just do a little repetitive teaching. Okay? How does yeast get into the bloodstream to cause enormous problems? It's what I call the invasion of the third army. So again, let's go back. You got good bacteria like rhamnosus, reuteri, acidophilus. Those guys are all on your side. On this side, you got bad bacteria. Okay? Like C. difficile. Okay? Okay? And others. Okay? You got bad guys. You got good guys, you got bad guys. Problem is, when you wipe out, antibiotics wipe out your good guys. When you take an antibiotic, it kills your bad guys. Yep. That's why it's effective. Okay? You get C. difficile, and by the way, the only place you can get C. difficile is in a hospital, and is very dangerous. Okay? And of course, you're vulnerable. You're in a hospital. You've had surgery or whatever. You're very vulnerable. And then they give you antibiotics. They wipe out your good guys. And I understand why they do it. They're trying to prevent infection. The problem is they should be giving you a boatload of probiotics. Okay, but back to the story. So what happens, you wipe out your good guys, and now you get an invasion of the third army. It's called Candida albicans. Oh, leave it to medicine to give it another Latin name. Candida albicans. Ooh. Why don't they just call it yeast? Or fungus, because that's what it is. And that fungus, it gets into your bloodstream. It should never get in there. No, yeast you get everybody has some yeast. That army sits dormant in your gut. Did you know that? You don't want to be completely yeast free. Okay? You got a microbiome in your gut. And everything is hunky-dory. Until the introduction of antibiotics. And listen, they're not the only thing that can cause leaky gut. It's the primary thing, though, that causes leaky gut. And you don't die right away. Okay? You get an invasion of a third army. You don't drop dead right away. You don't even know it. And that gets into your bloodstream. And it crosses the blood-brain barrier. It can get into your brain. That's how it affects your neurological system. Doesn't happen overnight. But it nonetheless is really, really, really dangerous, guys. In the long run. I've said this for so long. Listen, Linda, you want to make sure that you kill your fungus. First of all, don't feed the bears because they survive on sugar. Why do you think I rail against sugar all the time? If you do nothing else, lay off the sugar. It feeds candida. It feeds yeast. It makes leaky gut much, much worse. And then you get MS down the road. And that's why we see such a proliferation of neurological. And guys, I didn't say this. Well, not originally. There are doctors out there who do research that say every tumor is fungus. It's a yeast. It grows and grows and grows. And like I said, I didn't invent that story, guys. And it can lead to cancer. Leaky gut can lead to cancer through the proliferation of candida, fungus, yeast. And the studies are showing, this new study on this specific strain of bacteria, they're on your side. They fight neurological diseases. And I believe the reason why the rhamnosus is so good is because it kills yeast. Now, they didn't say that, but the study shows it seems to be quite protective of against neurological ALS. Interesting, isn't it? Interesting. And the second one, a probiotic, bifidobacteria. Here we go with the Latin again. Longus. Ooh. It's what they're showing is, if you have that in your system, it seems to be a real protective strain of bacteria for cognitive. And elderly that don't have enough bacteria, friendly bacteria, and specific strains seem to be more susceptible to cognitive decline. Those are the two new studies that just came out. Guys, this is hot off the press. Hot off the press. And I figured I'd bring it to you because you guys are interested in this. How do we prevent disease? How do we stop leaky gut? And let me just say this, my friend. If you need to take an antibiotic, then you take an antibiotic. Okay? But always remember, you better take a boatload of probiotics too. Take it with the antibiotic. Okay? And remember with antibiotics now. This is new, man, the last 4 or 5 years. You take an antibiotic, and, you know, they always said, the pharmaceutical companies said, you finish an antibiotic. That's not what the research is showing now. It's showing you take it as long as you need it, and when the symptoms are diminished, you stop it. But the point I'm trying to make is you better take, if you're taking an antibiotic, just understand what it does. It's going to kill, it'll kill the infection. Hallelujah. It kills the infection, but it kills all your good guys. And you do not want that invasion of the third army fungus. So what do? Probiotics, broad spectrum. And guys, the reason I got the formula I have is because I know which one works. I understand these things. I've been doing it for so long. That broad spectrum, you put all the best of the strains of bacteria together to give you the best protection. And the best are soil-based. And when you get a very powerful probiotic, they pass your digestive tract. They get past your stomach, the acidity in your stomach, to do their job, to knit, to rebuild the border there. And every autoimmune, okay? Every autoimmune, because that's what I see. When someone tells me about ALS, I say, well, that's autoimmune. No, what? No, that's neurological. Yeah, it's neurological, but it's caused by leaky gut. MS is a autoimmune disease, meaning that your body has garbage in its blood and the body overreacts to it. It creates a response to it. And it's an invasion of the Third Army. I'm telling you guys. I read these studies and I just hope medicine catches up with the real truth here. These strains of bacteria that are on our side. And guys, look, it's not just antibiotics. Do you know that even painkillers, like non-steroidal anti-inflammatories, even over-the-counter ones, will kill your good bacteria? Almost every medication will kill your friendly bacteria. They're disruptive to the microbiome. Chemicals. We live in a chemical soup today. They're disruptive. Our diets are disruptive to the microbiome. And of course, we're feeding the bad army, that invasive yeast, with all the sugar and all the bad oils that we use, the bad fats. They're destructive to the microbiome. All these artificial sweeteners, they're destructive to the microbiome. You can't get away from it. Not completely. So what do? Food? And I love fermented foods. I do. They have bacteria. I love pickles. I love fermented foods. They're good for you. And broad spectrum probiotics, guys. Broad spectrum with the important strains of bacteria that you need. Interesting, isn't it? Okay. Now, I'm scheduled to be off tomorrow. Okay? On today, off tomorrow. Okay? Back on Wednesday, Lord willing. Okay? Now, Friday, question and answer. So get your questions in. Okay? We like to get them in early. Not that that's important for me, but it's important for you so you don't forget. Okay? Okay. Okay, we got some good stuff coming up. So I hope you guys had a great, great Christmas with your family and friends. And we appreciate you guys. Invite everyone to come on to the private Facebook group, the Martin Clinic private Facebook group, and get your friends and family to listen to the Doctor Is In podcast on your favorite smart device. Okay, guys, we love you. Talk to you soon.